Do any of your organizations have any formal or even informal programs to develop women into leadership roles? And if so, what do those look like?
Yeah, okay. So we do. We have an organization called WINGS. It's Women Influencing Graybar's Success. And we have different chapters around the country. And they have organization events, they have happy hours, they have speakers, they have local talent outside of the industry come and talk to them. We have a group of people that are dedicated and do a fantastic job of taking the extra time to put these groups together. And you might think that maybe that's easy for a company like Graybar to do because whatever it is, 7,000 people work here, but any company can do this, large or small. It does take a lot of time and dedication, and I think it starts with the 300 people that are here in this room to leave here and create that organization for your companies if you don't have it today. And I think a lot of times we say, okay, we're going to take too much on, and that's a woman thing, by the way. We always want to take too much on. So you see this huge, grandiose idea of what you want your women's network to look like, and then get mired in that, in the concept of it and how big it should be. Start with a happy hour. Take a couple of women out for a beer or go to Starbucks, whatever it is that you're into, and just talk about what happened to them that day. And I promise you, if you start small, it won't overwhelm you so it doesn't lose momentum and you'll keep moving forward. Our WINGS organization started, I think maybe 15, 20 people showed up to the first event. Now we have it in multiple cities across the country. And it was because we didn't go after the big dream. We wanted to start this organization like a seed organization to gain momentum, and if it becomes a big dream and it's happening regularly with a true operating rhythm, fantastic. But don't sell it short that going to coffee after work one night could actually impact somebody in the industry.
I have mixed feelings on women-only groups in the workplace, and I would like to ask the younger women in the audience who are with us today, do you think it's important to have women-only groups in your organization as you're trying to advance your career path? I know we need to do something different to attract more women to our industry, but I just don't know if having some women-only groups at work help our cause. Anyone want to comment on that? Oh, and it's not like I planted you in the audience.
I know, they're all going to think I'm a proud employee owner of Border States, but I am with you on this, Tammy. I'm a warehouse associate, and I've had the opportunity to train others in our company, to go to different locations, go to different states. And when I walk into a warehouse, the last thing I want them to see is, oh, there's some woman walking into the warehouse. I bet you she doesn't lift anything. I bet you she doesn't know how to cut wire. She can't lift a pipe or anything like that. I want to be seen as an equal, as another employee owner. Just, I guess we fight for those equal rights, and sometimes those groups can, I don't want to say hinder that, but it separates the genders in not the right way. So I guess I just want to be seen as an equal, and not that I don't want a door opened for me or something like that, but I'm another worker.
I'd like to comment on that. I think that it's important to retain women in the industry, and I think that is more of a reason to have a women's group than to have a strong gender group. It's retaining the women. It's having a place to share stories and share that story of, hey, I just walked into this warehouse and I feel really silly because somebody thinks that I can't pick up a box. It's having those situations that maybe you can't really relate, or maybe a male can't really relate. I think, though, it's very important to offer that women's group to the men as well, so that they don't feel like they're excluded either.
We have a women network at HD Supply, and at first I was a little like, oh, ice cream socials and stuff like that. It's a good way to meet other women, but I've gone to a few and I've met some really good mentors there, and mentors I would not have met in my day-to-day work life. And so it's been a really good opportunity for me to meet other successful women in my company, and so I'm a big advocate for it.
So I work for Graybar, and I've been part of the Wings, and I think a lot of the times it depends on how it was done, right? So Wings is done right. We not only invite men, so like we had a speaker come over and talk to us about our, we always worry about what our weaknesses are, and not what our strengths are, but we should focus on the strengths. And there's several men in the room, and I think actually, as long as you open to everybody, obviously women always have some specific, particular things that we worry about. We worry about our kids more than men may, right? Because they may have a strong woman in the house, and not all of us have a strong man in the house. So I think it depends on how it's done. I really think so.
Sandy, if I could just make one more comment. Our company actually has a women's network, and we structured the women's network around driving diversity and inclusivity in our company, and made the decision early on when we launched the kickoff meeting that if we had a kickoff meeting with only women, by the very nature it was being exclusive and not inclusive. So we actually kicked off the meeting with the senior leaders, men and women, and a lot of the men were scratching their heads asking me, why am I supposed to go to this kickoff for Women's Network? But the reality was it was trying to, a group of women trying to derive diversity and inclusivity with a focus on women, but really trying to help bring the whole organization around it. Because while we're trying to drive diversity, if we don't drive a culture that embraces women, we can recruit all the women we want into our company, but if we don't have the right soils and culture that embraces it and lets women be successful, we're just going to lose them. So the first program we kicked off was that we had senior leaders there, and they shared leadership experiences for both men and women. And then the second event, to accommodate the needs and desires of the women in the organization, we actually had a women's-only luncheon where we shared networking experiences and leadership secrets. And then the next one we're going to have is going to actually include both men and women. So it is a balance. I think someone made the comment that there is a great opportunity of women being able to network, and I think men have different opportunities to network than women do. And so creating that culture and the opportunity to meet mentors was valued. But I think there's also something to be said for not being exclusive either.
Great. On that same topic, at City Electric, because we are a small company, we don't have enough women that we could have a women's group. But what we did start about 5 years ago is our Women in Industry Day, and we invite women from the electrical contracting, our customers, along with our women from our City Electric group, and get together and have a speaker or have a panel topic, which we did last year. And I think that's been helpful because it is a male-dominated industry, and in the construction field, or the contractors themselves, I mean, most of the women that are in that part of the business, we have only a handful who are electricians. Most of them are in the office or doing project management. But it really kind of opened our eyes to abilities to network with other people that are in that industry. So that's a thought you might want to consider. We're after 4 o'clock. Am I on schedule, Rhonda? Or can I keep going? Keep going. Okay, I have several questions. But this next one, I think, I know I've been asked many times about my leadership style and what's your leadership style. I think you all have been asked that by many people. But in addition to that, Tammy kind of added to that not only leadership style, but how, as a leader, how do you share your vision with your employees, your team, the rest of your company. So, Tammy, why don't you start that one for us, since it was yours? Or Dana.
My style is very collaborative, very much a team style. So we get together as a team, as a leadership team, and the leadership team is pretty diverse of men and women, but it doesn't only include, I have two leadership teams, one of my direct reports, but then I do an extended management team as well. So we're getting the next level of managers in the room. And so we don't meet as much with the extended management team, but we bring everyone in the room to talk about so that they know, anyone who has a management title in the company knows where we're going and what our direction is, and what are the issues we're facing, and how we're doing our 3-year strategy plans, what are the financials, et cetera, so that everybody knows where we're going. From a company-wide, the leadership style that I've kind of adopted is I started doing quarterly meetings at Brooke from the day I walked in the door, because I learned early on that employees will appreciate whatever you tell them as long as you stand up in front and tell them. So I stand up in front of everybody once a quarter, whether we have good news or bad news or tough decisions or whatever's going on. I tell them the truth and tell them what we're going to do and what we're going to do in the next quarter and where we're going to our plan. So we start every January. We talk about how we did the previous year. We talk about where we're going, what our goals are for the year, what our strategies are, what we have to achieve, where we're going to be focused. And then basically every quarter, and it's not just about the financials, it's about what we're doing as a company. We adopt a charity every year, how we're doing with that, what charity we're going to adopt, what we're doing for the business to support them as families. And actually the way we start our meetings is I always talk about the people first and the opportunities for growth and what we're doing, and tell them where we're going to grow and what we're going to do. And then every quarter, I stand up in front of everybody and tell them where we are to the plan. And that way they're hearing directly from me, as well as the leadership team, what's going on. Because in the absence of information, people make things up. And so it's always better to make sure that everybody knows. And if there's any major changes going on or big events or big things that are going to happen, I will call a town hall. And basically, I'll be in headquarters, but all of our branches will phone and web conference in. So everybody, and we do it during lunch hour. So we do 2 shifts, and we do it during lunch hour so everybody can hear directly what I have to say. And I find that I treat people not for the job they're in now, but the job that they can become. And I try very hard to be collaborative and to empower them to do their job. It's scary to empower people because they get afraid that they might disappoint you, or they get afraid. But when you empower people and you teach them along the way, they're the most productive they can possibly be, and they live up to their potential. We try to make sure, and we're not always good at it. It's a process, not perfection, that we're only going to be successful through our people being successful, and we're only as successful as our weakest person in the company. And so we have to pull everybody up along with everyone.
Go ahead.
Well, I would say my leadership style is I like to win, and I like to help people accomplish more than they ever dreamed possible. And there is nothing more rewarding than an individual to tell me, I cannot believe I was able to do that. Without, your stretch goals, your motivation, tools, and accountability, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish that. And the way we have had success is to have a very clear vision and strategic plan. And it's very well communicated to our employees. And within the plan, I think we have something for everyone. There's action items for every employee in the company so they can see how they support our short and long-term goals. And the other piece, as Dana said, is communication. We are very transparent. We have an internal newsletter online on our intranet called Borderline that gets updated several times during the week. Every month, I make a video for all of our employees and share the financial information that's going on, or the financial results, as well as some of the strategic initiatives we're working on. And then if we do have some really hot news like our stock value, announcement of a new acquisition, kickoff of our company-wide managers meeting, we actually do a live news feed so all of our employees can plug into it and see it. And if they are in roles that they can't step away and watch it, we post that up on our intranet so they can watch it at their convenience. So communication certainly is very important in our success. And then accountability. Oftentimes as leaders, we set goals and we never go back and hold people accountable. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but if you set deadlines and get your team to agree to those deadlines, and the day of that deadline, ask them if it's done or not done, you will be amazed at what gets done. Accountability is not a bad word, and if you have a cadence of accountability in your organization, you can accomplish much more than you ever dreamed possible. And that has worked very well for us.